G'day, Thomas. Welcome to Australia.
G'day mates, my name's Rangin' Bobby and welcome to Rangin' Reviews. Keep in mind though that we may not actually review the thing we're talking about, we may just be analysing it. You never know. Now if you were a Thomas kid, the late 2000s, you may remember this one video of a CGI animated Thomas in 2007. This was 2 years before Thomas would go full CGI, and it's quite impressive for the time. However, you may be wondering who exactly made this animation. Well, it was made by a guy known as Osrail Animations, and he would go on to make his own talking train show, and it's called Rolling Stock. This series you might remember from the mid to late 2010s, when searching for Thomas content on YouTube. However, one thing you may notice is that the creator hasn't been active in a while, and today I'm going to show you why that's the case, and overall look into the Rolling Stock world the best I can. So, let's begin. Rolling Stock was originally created by an Australian YouTuber known as Osrail Animations, who created his channel on March 23rd, 2006. A year later, he uploaded his first video, which featured locomotive DD-17 leaving the Roma Street station. Then came along a Thomas and Friends music video, the Starlight Express song Crazy, and I bet you can tell because of that we're in those early days of the fandom. Back when people made Henry an idiot, and Cranky used to be an original fan character. His channel really began to shine when in that same year he started uploading 3D animations onto the site. This here would be where his first Rolling Stock character Ois was born. In fact, one of his animation tests has over 32 million views today, and it does make sense as this is quite revolutionary for 2007. As the years went by, he just continued to upload his usual animations and model layout videos, as well as a LEGO Chorus Line video. He also made concept trailers for a Casey Jr. movie and that cancelled Shane Acker movie for Thomas and Friends. Over time, he would develop more characters like Electra and Rudolph, and eventually in 2014 it was announced that he would be making his own series out of these characters. And in 2015 came the pilot titled Ois's Day with Farmer Brown, and as the years rolled by, we got more episodes, and to this day they have at least 1 million views each, well apart from episode 3 for some reason. But then, in 2019, the series suddenly stopped after a small crossover special guest starring Diesel D199. He went silent for 2 years before coming back suddenly in 2022 with some old train footage of his blooper. Let me try that again. He went silent for 2 years before coming back suddenly in 2022 with some old trains footage of his, as well as a custom large-scale Henrietta showcase video and a video essay talking about if an animated train can be a movie star. And since then, he's been silent again. I'll talk about why that could be the case later, but for now, let's take a look at the Rolling Stock itself. The main location of Rolling Stock is the branch line of the Northallerton and Warwick Railway. Both of these are actually real-life locations in England, and I wonder if that was intentional or not. The characters of the branch line are Ois, the oldest of the engines, Beatrice, the railway's rescue and maintenance engine, Rudolph, a mixed-traffic diesel, and Electra, a little blue electric engine. First, we'll start off with Ois. While he is the oldest of the engines on the railway, it's obvious his age doesn't show, and I like how he's on the branch line being... wait, I didn't mean to say that. My fault. Yeah, and also, I'm not gonna be going crazy like I did last time in terms of causing bloopers. Let's try again. And I like how Ois is the branch line's only steam engine. It makes him feel more like an actual main character due to him standing out. While he is very kind and helpful, he does have a bit of a temper problem when pushed to his limits. But despite that, he is quite a helpful engine and always knows what to do. Next up is Beatrice. However, I'm not too sure she has much of a personality other than being the branch line's maintenance and rescue engine, but I do enjoy her design. It's quite cool looking, and is pretty much a modern take on Harvey or Skylar or Rosa. Does anybody care for Rosa though? Next up is Rudolph. He seems to be a nice engine much like Ois, but he is a bit more grumpier sometimes, especially when it rains. A green locomotive scared of rain, Where have I seen that before? Despite that, he usually is shown to be very caring to his fellow friends and doesn't enjoy when they're being treated unfairly. Finally, there's Electra, and the most I can get out of her character is that due to her being very young, she wants to make a good impression and doesn't enjoy when she can't get to her full limit. But despite that, she seems to be very optimistic. Those aren't the only characters though, as also there's the controller known as Miss Stacy and her sister Farmer Brown, the trickster roll rail shunter Diesel known as Trixie, the snooty passenger Diesel of the main line known as Sparrow, who I love simply because he's a bumbling buffoon, much like Eric Alberg, and a few other minor characters. However, what's good characters without good stories? There's a total of 8 episodes in Rolling Stock. Owis's Day with Farmer Brown, Enter the Sparrow, Frizzled Frazzled Fried, The Heat is On, Rudolph Storms Through, Times Have Changed, One Trixie Too Far, and Dwindle in the Rain. Each episode seems to follow a basic structure and story. In Owis's Day with Farmer Brown, Owis gets to work with Farmer Brown and over time gets very annoyed with her. In Enter the Sparrow, a new engine called Sparrow is loaned over from the main line to help out with extra trains and ends up working with Electra, which kinda goes wrong. In Frizzled Frazzled Fried, Electra gets into a pickle as she can't go to her full limit when her traction motors are wearing down. In The Heat is On, Sparrow is constantly taking on water to keep the passengers happy and ends up getting into a problem when on the branch line. In Rudolph Storms Through, Rudolph helps Owis get up a hill when his side rods cease in a storm. In Times Have Changed, Owis gets annoyed when his old Grand Squire Flyer coaches are repurposed for a tourist train. In One Trixie Too Far, Trixie plays a prank on Rudolph only for it to be played on Owis instead. And in Dwindle in the Rain, Owis tells Sparrow a scary story about an engine that shrinks in rain and it goes to his head during Carnival Day. The thing I enjoy about each episode is the simple structure that is used each episode. It helps you be able to easily watch the episode, and in the end, you won't feel like you missed anything. Not to mention, there seems to be something new added with each episode. The introduction of Sparrow, the explanation behind how Trixie works, some history about Owis and the railway, and a bit more stuff I'm not too sure I remember. Now you may be thinking to yourself, gee, this series is quite fun and simple, but why did it suddenly stop? Well, that's what we're gonna get into in the next part. Now that we've gone over Rolling Stock a bit, I think it's time we answer the question in the title, which is what on earth happened to Rolling Stock? Well, first of all, we need to go back to that Starlight Express Thomas MV I mentioned earlier. Well, you wanna know whose name appears at the end of the MV? MST Noodle. Yes, that's right. The MST Noodle made Rolling Stock. And not to mention, just take a look at his Thomas model, then take a look at his old train swarm posts. Coincidence? I think not. However, to those who don't know who MST Noodle is, he is basically the one who was the first Thomas Trains modeler. However, he left due to some actions by some unknown people causing him to take down the models. This guy practically made the train subgenre of the Thomas fandom, and it led to the creation of SI3D, and since then there's been many other talented modelers in the community. And maybe that's why he left YouTube. He just simply feels like he's done his job, and he's letting others continue on his legacy. And if that is the case, I'd like to say a few words. MST Noodle, or Osborne Animations, you really started up a whole subgenre of our Thomas fandom. The Thomas fandom would not have grown if it had not been for your modeling work being the starting grounds for several more modelers to come from SI3D. The Marvelous Mainland Model Works, the Branch Line Crew, Clay Truck Works, and Crobin's Gate Works, and Shinington Works 3D, Tinmouth Yard 3D, and many more wouldn't have been possible without you. And with that, I just have to say, thank you for creating a core aspect of our fandom. We would not have had many talented people to be known in the fandom today if not for you. And hopefully one day, you might just come back and we'll get to see your NWR back in action once more. And that's where I'll end it. With that being said, I've been Ranjin Bobby, this has been Ranjin Reviews, and thank you for watching.